Hey guys, I hope all is well. So let's start the St. Valentine's Day Massacre presentation. I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of the context of what era we're in. So right over here, we're in the 1920s during the Prohibition era. For those of you who don't know what the Prohibition era is, it's when the sale, manufacturing, and transportation of alcohol was illegal. Now you see in the picture at the top right over here, they're doing a little rally, we want beer. It's a little bit humorous. Now gangsters took this as an opportunity. They would sell alcohol under the table, which was called bootlegging. This would cause rivals between gangs because it was pure competition. So let's move to Chicago. It's the late 1920s. First off, I'm going to show you this picture right over here on the bottom right. This is kind of like how they would smuggle the alcohol inside. So they'd have a boat and they'd put it inside a car. There was a scout car that would watch over. And yeah, and right over here, North Carolina was the first southern state to vote prohibition by popular vote. So here we go, 1920s, Chicago. So there were many gangs. There were two in specific. The South Side Italians were led by Al Capone, and the North Side Irish were led by George Bugs Moran. Now you all know who Al Capone is because we all read that horrible book in Sec 1 about him, Al Capone Does My Shirts. All you really need to know is that he was a notorious gangster that did terrible things. In the end, he was arrested by the FBI, but not for this crime, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So both leaders fought the power, and they had been trying to kill each other for years. This event is still talked about today, and these gangsters are all the inspiration of many villains in movies today. Now, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre is an event that occurred on February 14th, 1929. Of which 7 gangsters affiliated with the mob were executed on the wall of a garage. Hang on, right over here, and there we go. So the murders were ordered by none other than Al Capone himself, and these orders were given to take down the Irish mob, the North Side Irish. This was because Moran ordered a hit on Jack Machine Gun McGurn. Now remember this name, ladies and gents. He is going to be mentioned a lot. One of Al Capone's good friends. Capone agreed to finance and help McGurn to take down Moran after he heard of this. He wanted to eliminate the Irish. Now, he also wanted to help his friend, but he was looking out for his best interest. Without McGurn around, it's less competition for the bootlegging business. The shooters were gangsters from out of town so that the Northern Irish wouldn't realize that they were affiliated with Capone's gang. McGurn made sure to steal a police car and a couple of police uniforms. So let's see what went down. McGurn instructed a local booze hijacker to contact Moran on February 13th. The hijacker told Moran that he had a shipment of very good whiskey and he wanted to sell it to Moran. So Moran set up the meeting for the next day, falling directly into McGurn's and Capone's trap. When the Irish arrived at the garage, the lookouts that McGurn hired thought they saw Moran enter the garage. The whole point was to kill Moran, so the minute that they thought he was inside, their plan was in full throttle. They waited until the Irish entered the garage. Then, with the stolen police car and with the shooters dressed as policemen, they raided the garage and lined up the mobsters on the wall. There we go. They had 2 Tommy guns, a sawed-off shotgun, and a .45. Each of the 7 victims had at least 15 bullets in their body. There was one problem. Now, you think the job was done. Turns out, who they thought was Moran was actually a gangster by the name of Albert Weinshack. Moran was running a couple of minutes late, and if it wasn't for these couple of minutes, he would have died that day. Although everybody knew that this was Capone and McGurn's work, nobody could prove it. Capone was in questioning at the police station while the St. Valentine's Day Massacre was happening. McGurn also had a very good alibi. Now one of my questions will be to find out what that alibi is. Let's discuss why this event was so important. First off, this was one of the first crimes where the science of ballistics was used. This made Al Capone a national celebrity. The FBI was all over him. Overall, this event really demonstrates the lives of gangsters throughout the Prohibition era. Now don't try this at home, kids.